Yeah, I went over there. I spent some time with them this morning as well.
They cornered
Joe,
me and immediately asked me what I thought.
oh, by the way, when I spent time with them, Joe Wilson told me he's a member of the church. He said, "I need you to know, Reverend, officially, I'm a member of this." He was saying a lot by that, and I knew what he meant.
hmm
And I said, Joe, I'm refereeing the situation with your nieces. Oh, I know they cussing you, they cussing and stuff on the.
Oh, we thank you for joining Monday Night Live tonight. Praise the Lord. Thank you all for being here.
Oh Lord.
Welcome, welcome. Come on in, come on in. Hey, Ari. Hey, Santero. We were just talking that you got that heat. You were on here earlier. Please don't leave.
Oh no, I'm not sure. I don't know what happened to my
Oh,
I just looked up and I was trying to finish eating, so I had my phone on mute and everything. So
we can dig it. Did you enjoy Martha's Vineyard? You know, me and Mark were there earlier in this year.
yeah, and I saw your post. Yeah, I didn't realize y'all went there. Yeah, I loved it. I really, really enjoyed it.
Good, good. If I had known you were there, I would have connected you with my friend who has a condo there. He he has a house, I don't know, whatever you call it, but because it's part of it's an old motel, but everybody was able to buy a part of it. So, but anyway, when
Oh,
I told him you were there, and he said, I just left. He said, I would have, if I would, I would have showed her around. I was like, I know, who knows? We don't know what people are
oh,
doing.
I gotta really start. Yeah, because normally I'm paying attention to Facebook posts, but I missed that one with you and Mark. What month were y'all there?
April. I don't
April.
remember.
Okay.
Was it? I'm feeling April in my spirit. Maybe March. I don't know. I don't know.
Okay. Yeah.
Kanetta laughing.
I stayed at the Inkwell Beach House, which is owned by
Yeah.
Black Widow. She owns
Yep.
like 3 properties there. Yeah.
Oh yeah. It's a thing. Yeah, it's a thing. So
Great
Yeah.
movie as
So.
well. Great movie.
exactly.
Oh yeah.
Well, that's the whole point. Yep.
Yeah.
Um,
Exactly.
I see Shannon Anderson is on. Welcome
Hey,
everybody.
Shannon, Minister Shannon.
Welcome
What's
to
good?
Monday
What's
Night
good? What's
Live.
good?
Woo, woo.
Hey,
We know that there's some topics that might be burning a hole in your mind, yours and maybe
yeah.
Santero and maybe Bishop, you got something. But first, I just want to say, hey, everybody, welcome to Monday Night Lives, people online. Hey, Ari, we just thank y'all for watching, and it's an open discussion. Santero's having connection issues. She dropped out again. But anyway, it's an open discussion. We are Bible believers. We attend Bible Way Ministries International, located at A94 Constitution Road, Atlanta, Georgia 30315. And you are welcome to join us in person on Sundays. Yeah, we'd love to see your face. And we have Wednesday Bible study. And, check us out on Bible Way. What is it? Oh, it's Bible. Yeah, go ahead. Somebody tell me. That is so funny. I always forget stuff.
BWMI.faith.
Thank you. I'm the one who bought the doggone URL. BWMI.faith. Anyway, I'll put that in the
gotta have faith.
BWMI.faith. I'm gonna put that in the chat anyway.
Yeah.
Let me go type it in just so nobody goes, you told us that URL and it's not, but I'm sure it's working. Boom, there it is. Anyway, that's funny. It redirected me. Anyway, thank y'all for joining. We talk about a lot of different topics. We are just regular folk that have real issues and real challenges. And Bishop often reminds us that church is more of a hospital for sick people. It's not for a bunch of people that are. I know I paraphrased the wrong way, but you can fix it for me.
No, you were right. I chuckle because it's a hospital for the sick, but not everybody's responding to treatment.
That's the caveat. Hey. But we can try. But we try. The point is, for those that might pass this online or see us, and those of them church, we just trying to get along, figure it all out, try to be loving people, loving God, loving people, and hopefully making disciples, making other believers. So, yeah, that's my little spiel. So this is called Monday Night Live. Let's get it. What's on your mind?
I want to start with a shout out to our Megan.
Yes, she
Leave
filled
it.
half the.
Leave it to Megan to bring 100 people and a homecoming in one Sunday. So
Yeah.
I just thought it was extraordinary. Megan has been very strategic and intentional about scheduling a baby blessing for Emily. Emily is one of our newest princesses, and so she was very intentional. She got this date, and she was able to bring people from far and near, and people we hadn't seen in a while. It was just great. So shout out to Megan and Emmanuel Jefferson, the Jefferson clan.
Yes, absolutely. What a
So, just
wonderful,
wonderful.
magical couple. We love it.
Yeah. And who knew that half the church was related to her? I mean, it's just wonderful. Where else?
I promise I was invited. I promise. She said, come, you better come up. I promise.
No, I mean, and she's serious about that. That's what church is. I mean, I
Yeah.
really loved it. I loved
It is
every minute.
community.
The whole church could have come up because if you
That's
don't-
true. It takes
Yeah.
a village.
To know Megan is to love Megan, is to feel like you're a part of her life. We've been in Madison, we've been in her home. Go ahead, yeah. But it was just special, wonderful. Emily took it very well. Emily's just bright-eyed and inquisitive and loving and precious. I just loved every minute of it.
I did too. It was priceless the way Emily just looked around. Everybody was clapping, and Emily just looked around like, y'all all right? Because I'm good here. She was funny.
Look who her mother is. She can't help it.
Right. Kathy said, look who her mother is. She can't help it. Right.
Yeah. And as usual, Megan did a great job leading worship. And just to have all of her family there, both sides of her family, all of her parents, grandparents, we had great grandparents, we had godparents. I mean, it was a very special moment. And then they took photographs after church. It was just very special, very grateful for that moment, very cathartic, such a blessing to offer this wonderful child back to the Lord and to know that our ministers of music are being fruitful.
That's right.
Because Saya came to church yesterday.
That was right.
Come on.
That was my first time seeing her live in person. What a gorgeous baby. Wow. They both are. I mean, it's just amazing. We're blessed.
And then we had a gender reveal for a third baby coming to Bible Way. KD and Lauren Moten had a gender reveal. They have posted it online, and Tanetta, make sure I get this right. They're having a little boy. Okay, thank you. I don't want to get that right.
Wow. That's awesome.
It's worth seeing the way they did the gender reveal. We know that KD is an athlete, former collegiate basketball player. So they gave him something to dunk, and what he dunked exploded into the color that revealed the gender of the baby. So it's just very special, very warm to see it. So we are excited about the 3 new members of our family.
That's one way to do it. You want to increase membership? Hey, that's one way to do it.
And what was interesting yesterday is my father, who has his first great-grandchild, now has a second great-grandchild on the way. He's just asking Wanda, when am I going to see my baby again? And she walks over with the baby. He did not know that Saya and her mom were there, but Wanda spotted them, went and got the baby, and he's asking, and she hands the baby to her papa, her great granddad. So it was just all these special Kodak moments. I mean, just,
y'all got those pictures? Somebody. Uh-oh.
I don't know if anybody got those pictures. I mean, we have pictures from when she was born. We have the 4 generations. We got, So we got my dad and myself and Malcolm and the baby. So we all of those kind of things are around. But just grateful for the fruit of the womb, and just those blessings that we don't take for granted, those special moments. Yeah. And then the kids, wait a minute, the kids, Raise a Praise. I've been asking for it.
Yeah.
It was just wonderful. That just blessed my heart, blessed my soul. Malcolm says they'll be there all day singing. I mean, just come on. Can we repeat yesterday? I just thought it was extraordinary. I really did. A lot of great ministry, a lot of great people. We now have a congregational photographer. So if you check out our Facebook page at BWMIATL, you will see all these pictures. Isn't it fun? I mean, she's grabbing me every other minute. Take a picture, take a picture. And Mother Flossie didn't want to take a picture, so I sat with Mother Flossie. She grabbed the picture anyway. It's just hilarious. So we appreciate Sister Virginia, our congregational photographer, and attention to detail. So I just thought it was one of those Sundays for the books to remember, to enjoy, to savor. So thank you to everybody who participated in it. Just a great day, just a great day. So that's my opening thoughts and reflections. There's the First Lady. I want to shout out the First Lady, Elder Tanetta, and a group of people who came with me. I preached Sunday afternoon at the Silverleaf Baptist Church, one of our neighboring churches. Get this, their 89th church anniversary. So I'm grateful to Lady Wanda, Elder Tanetta, Mother Evelyn Manning came, Minister Hattie Wade, Minister Annette Noel. Grateful for them joining me and celebrating our neighbor and friend, Pastor Bobby Giddens, and First Lady Jacqueline Giddens, and the Silverleaf Baptist Church. They are working in the community with us. He is a full-time practicing attorney, also serving as a pastor. He's done legal work for our congregation, and he's been very engaged and supportive since moving into the community. Silverleaf, as I said, has been around 89 years. They've been in our community for the past few years on Turner Road, not far from us. So grateful for those who came out, grateful for the celebration. Really enjoyed their music ministry. I mean, it was a great service. They've got spirit. They were excited. They celebrated. They gave reflections and comments. We're lifting up Pastor Gittens, who was a little under the weather, but we're praying that he's okay. Got to call him, Elder Tanetta, Lady Wanda, and check on him. That's something on my list to do today. So anyway, that was Sunday for me. Anybody else got some? And then the news is the news. It's always something happening. So wherever you all want to jump in with that, we had another, just, I don't know what's on you all's hearts and minds about that. So much going on, so much.
Well, I have to, I got caught in, I just literally just walked in. I got caught in, I had to stop for an after work, meeting some of the business partners who were in town. And then on the way, I got delayed. Keep in mind, I'm a 7-minute bus ride from the office, but it took about 35, 40 minutes because of the protests, Israel and Palestine. But the interesting thing was that you had the Palestinian and Jews marching together down Michigan Avenue. So yeah, it was a sight to see.
Wow, nice.
Yeah. So other than that, for me, I'm about to sit down and recreate a presentation. I'd had someone else, IT, to try and find it, but to no avail. So yeah.
So for context, you were trusting autosave on Windows or Microsoft Word. And I also use autosave, but I don't trust autosave. So autosave let you down on a major presentation, and you've been working with IT to find it. So I'm so sorry about that. I know the feeling of working on a document and losing it. But those who know what autosave is, I use autosave. I don't trust autosave.
Everybody got to have their own testimony. I guess I didn't read. The plan of salvation. I thought it was good. I thought it was going to be saved, but
only Jesus saves. Only Jesus saves.
Yeah, that's it. Yep.
PC, Control S, just Control S.
I know. I mean, and the thing about it, I used to do that. I got comfortable with it being an autosave. I just got lax with it. So, I was just too frustrated to even deal with it last night. So I need to recreate it. Now it's in my head, so I need to just create it and then do the video presentation. So,
and the thing is, redoing it is not the bad part because you already did the research. It's the fact that you got to redo it. I don't like
right.
And
it's
the thought
whole,
process.
Yeah. But the good thing is, it's not a paper per se. It's a presentation.
Yeah.
But it's still the point to your point, Kathy, having to redo it. I'm just disgusted. But lesson learned, not to get too relaxed in the whole auto save.
Yeah, I can sit there.
Go
ahead. I was just gonna say I can sit there and look at auto save working and still I go after the fact. So I just but anyway, go ahead. I'm sorry.
You don't. So you don't believe once saved, always saved, huh?
No, I'm not a Calvinist in that way.
Look at
Just
Janetta.
that's what I talk about every day to systematic theology students. Are you once saved, always saved? Eternal security. So obviously, when it comes to computers and documents,
Right. Right. It's like,
You just
Yeah.
gotta make
yeah,
sure
but
you
you
really,
know
really
what?
save the first time.
The Apostle Paul said he dies daily, so I guess I have to save
Save
more.
daily.
a theological conversation about saving documents. I got you. So I want to give God praise for safe travel to Johannesburg, South Africa, by way of Istanbul, Turkey. I want to thank my travel team. That's our CFO, Kathy. That's Elder Tanetta. That's Wanda. I think it's because of them that I was able to go on this trip. It's a different route than I've ever taken before to go through the country of Turkey. And Elder Tanetta figured out that because on the front end, there's a 10-hour layover, the airline offers a free tour. And so I took this tour, which was extraordinary because I had a chance to tour Galatia, literally the place where Paul planted the church at Galatia. It's still called Galatia to this day. I knew it was there. I didn't know I would get to see it. So it's part tour, part land tour, part sea tour that they take you on. It's really a recruiting tool by the airline to get you to come back and spend more time in Turkey. So they convinced me. It's such a beautiful, bustling place, 20 million people. Had no idea all that was happening in Turkey, their own language, all kind of commerce. It's just a great experience that I spent. And then I found out my son Matthew had visited there a few months back. He's telling me, "Did you see the Popeyes in the airport?" So I mean, it's a brand new airport. And so just all of the things that you notice about such a trip. But then I had a chance to visit with several pastors in South Africa that we hope to see when we go back over. Pastor Bert Pretorius and his wife Charnay Pretorius, who are pastors of the 3C Church. It's a very large multi-campus church with campuses all over South Africa. They even have campuses here in the US now. But they do a women's conference. It's called the Visionaries Women's Conference, and they bring women from all over South Africa, literally thousands of women. And so a team from First Baptist Church of Glenarden went over. I was a part of that and able to go to places in and around Johannesburg, including Pretoria. And I do have lots of pictures from Istanbul as well as from Johannesburg. I got lots of videos so we can see how they worship. Hopefully I'll get a chance to share these clips with you, Calvin, so you can see how we can integrate and show them what the people are doing there. So I spent time with them. I also spent time with the pastor, Pastor Ernest Peters, that became a part of the Church of Our Lord Jesus Christ. Had a chance to be entertained by him in his own residence. He lives in a gated community in a palatial mansion. Very interesting to spend some time with him. And also a classmate of mine from Oral Roberts University, Pastor Becky Gamedzi, who pastors the Gateway Church there. And so we reconnected a few years back. And so every time I go, I try to make it a point to see him. And some of you realize the last time I was there, I had a chance to go to his church and preach there for Mother's Day. So it was fortunate that I got a chance to see all of these people, fellowship, meet new people, and I hope to be sharing that and looking forward to going back next year. So just a little bit about my journey, and grateful to be back here safe and sound. I will tell you that going the route where you stop, usually you stop through Europe, you get a better rate in terms of the airfare as opposed to going direct nonstop from Atlanta on Delta. So it becomes an economic issue, but that stopover makes your trip that much longer. So my father asked me, how long was the flight? So it was 10 hours from Atlanta to Istanbul, Turkey, and then 10 hours from Turkey to Johannesburg, South Africa. But going there, that's including a 10-hour layover. So that's 30 hours. And Tanetta warned me. She said, you're going to be worn out. Kathy warned me. These are veteran travelers. They were right. But coming back, I only had a 3-hour layover. It worked very much, very, very, very much better than it did going. So, and
well,
I got off the.
But at least you got a free tour of a country you never would have.
That was great. It was
Yeah.
really a great tour. They feed you on the tour. And I know when Tanetta was looking up the tour, she said, this is cutting it close for you to get back and make your 1:30 a.m. connection. But when she found out it was the airline, she said, well, you will be good. So Tanetta, when you're going on the tour, they warn you, this is the schedule. If you're not with the schedule, the bus will be gone and you will miss your ride back to the airport. So I paid attention, had a chance to meet some people from South Asia and to connect with them because Istanbul, Turkey sits at the intersection of Europe and Asia. They sit on the sea. They're right on the sea, the Mediterranean Sea. On one side is Europe, on one side is Asia, and they really push that in terms of sightseeing, in terms of sights to see. So very, very interesting. I would highly recommend that tour if you're able to go. And I thought when you compare the price of travel nonstop versus the stop, that it's much more affordable, but you pay for it in terms of the amount of time that you spend getting where you're going. So yeah, trade-offs. Yeah.
Well, I particularly like Turkey. I actually love Turkey. I spent 2 weeks over there,
Oh, great.
and I went to Ephesus,
Okay.
and then I flew down to Ankara, and
Okay.
I actually dipped my feet in the Mediterranean,
All right.
and kind of took a few pictures there. I mean, if you ever been to South Beach, Miami, just picture it being 10 times as better
Yeah.
than South Beach, and even more beautiful.
Yes.
But to go to those places, to be a believer, go to those places. I went to the very first publicized Christian church there, and I went to the place where supposedly they kept Mary until she died, where they actually leave prayers up there to this day. But it's a really, really steep mountain you have to go up. And where the women prayed 24 hours around the bottom of the mountain. So it's a very, very very rich place as far as if you're a believer in Christ. I mean, it's just a different feel. And also, if you didn't know, the country it's organic. So all the food is organic, the coffee, everything. So you won't get that the shakes from your coffee and things like that. It's just a lot to experience there. I went to the stock exchange there. So it's
Nice.
a lot of stuff that you can experience. And I actually stayed in some homes of,
Nice.
Muslims. And I told one guy I was going to be a baker. He opened up his bakery for me and just let all of us have desserts and stuff. So, I
Nice.
mean, it's just different dealing with other cultures. Just give somebody a chance. And I think that if you just take the time to travel, and hear some people out, then you'll feel differently about people, because a lot of stuff was just preconceived, that I thought about even Muslims, a lot of Muslims, and it was so much different. But most of the kids, I can say, the girl kept saying she was going to go to jail, and I say, jail? Are you sure you're going to jail? She was saying Yale, but she was
Nice.
on her fifth language
Oh,
already.
wow.
So
Yeah.
those children, they go to school for free. College is free, but it's through like a testing system. So if you test over another student, then you will get in that, like, that lottery or whatever. That basically the only thing you have to do is worry about outranking another one. And the kids worked. A lot of the kids worked. Like, if they work in the daytime, they go to school at night, or vice versa. So it's a lot of habits that I believe that if you instill in the kids, then they would easily adapt to them. So speaking of that, I was just thinking about how the kids did so well in church yesterday, and some of the things that they've discussed with me is that we cannot underestimate the intellect of our children. We cannot. Another church was telling me they took their kids to see the Forge, and I was like, our adult people went, but the kids were telling me from that church, like, how much they enjoyed it, and I was like, wow, I gotta tell our kids about that. But yeah, so the main thing I got from that is just don't underestimate the kids. don't keep treating them kitty. It's some stuff they still, got some areas they still have to grow in, but the area of learning that type of stuff, they ready already.
Well, because we have genius kids, go ahead and schedule it. If it's still out, or maybe we got to get it on streaming or video, but I agree. I mean, I love it. I was just talking to the Patterson family, and they went to see God Is Not Dead 3. If you're familiar with this series of movies called God Is Not Dead 1 and 2, I highly recommend them. It's like a journalist talks to an atheist and talks about those with skepticism and doubts about faith. And they're really good movies. And I didn't realize part 3 was out, but they went to see it in honor of Brother Jack, would have been Jack and Tara's anniversary. And he loved those kind of movies. And so they were sharing that with me. And I think it's playing in Marietta. It's not playing mainstream, but if we can see that, even see it on streaming. We showed one of the God Is Not Dead movies some years ago when we were showing when we had movie night. But I agree with you, Shannon, to take our kids, because we expose them to so much else anyway. So great thought. Who is next? What's on you all's mind tonight?
I enjoyed seeing the beautiful babies on Sunday.
Wasn't that wonderful?
Oh, wonderful. And yes, I was listening in because I had my grandson this evening, and I heard when you guys were talking about Megan's baby when when everybody was clapping and saying, she was looking around like, and who are you guys? Who are these people? She's just so intelligent, like when the way she was looking, like I'm not sure who these people are, That was very beautiful. And yes, she had that whole side sewed up, right?
They were all around the church.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and the other side too. But yeah, that was beautiful. I really enjoyed that. Yeah, hopefully we can get this one dedicated. Let's see if I can get them in there, get her in there to do that. So
yes, yeah, that would be great. I highly recommend it. Yeah.
Yeah, he's a little worshiper.
Wonderful.
Yeah, it was good hearing about your trip. Good to hear you got to do some things. So that was really good. Yeah,
it's interesting that Shannon mentioned Ephesus. So I mentioned Ephesus in the message yesterday. So if you're familiar with the book of Revelation, it talks about Asia Minor. So Turkey is part of Asia Minor. So when you talk about 7 churches, that's very interesting. And she mentioned Ephesus as well. So that's the area. There's a whole Bible tour that you can take. Yeah, Philippi, et cetera, et cetera. But anyway, yeah, good stuff.
Yeah, I heard quite a bit during the war time about Turkey when we were overseas and stuff. And then my husband went while he was stationed in Sinai, Egypt. He went to several of the landmarks that Jesus traveled, and he went down to Egypt and Cairo and all these places. Yeah. Yeah, those flight times are very, very tricky. Yeah, I think mine was 13 going to Germany, and his was something like, I think 20 going to Egypt or something like that.
Oh, wow. Wow. Long flight times. Yeah.
Yeah. Good to see everyone.
Good to see you too. And very glad to have your husband, Minister Robert Smith Jr., connected virtually with us all weekend. Really enjoyed that on the discipleship meeting, the SALT meeting, and him having his input. That meant a lot when he's on the road.
Yeah.
And he makes that effort to connect with us.
He loves it. Yeah.
So the kids are returning back to school soon from the school shooting, right? And some of the kids were saying how they are still afraid. They are still saddened by the loss of their friends and their teachers, and they are afraid, really. And I hear counseling is available, but why is it that simple things are not being taken care of? Like in our county, you have to have a clear bag. It's a clear bag policy. Why isn't that being enforced? Because that's one of the things that the parents were saying they were concerned about a clear bag policy not being put in place. And I don't think I would let my kids come back to school until one was put in place. And on Wednesday, Nairi, her school, according to the governor, all the schools got to have intruder trainings. So they'll have intruder training on Wednesday. I don't know if it'll be simultaneously with the rest of the schools, but they are having theirs on Wednesday.
Yeah, it would be interesting to get the perspective of educators and administrators on the various policies, what's being proposed, how they feel, what can be done. I can certainly understand as a parent or even an employee being concerned and nervous, not knowing, what behavior might trigger something like that again, and what might trigger something in you. And from what I understand, parents are being given options for learning modalities for some who don't want to come back. I don't know the specifics of that particular situation, but we have now had 45 school shootings this year, 45. And we've had more mass shootings than the days of the year. We have more guns than people in the United States. And so what's very interesting and telling to me is with the campaign for the highest office in the land, the presidency of the United States, it's not an issue because it seems the influence of the NRA, the National Rifle Association, the gun lobby is so strong in terms of how it contributes to politicians that no meaningful legislation is being proposed or even considered to address what might be common sense gun laws that we could all agree on. And so, it's just something to remain concerned and engaged about, and to try to move us toward consensus, toward common sense gun laws that will help make us all safer. We just had another mass shooting in neighboring Birmingham this weekend with upwards of 20 people shot with pistols that were modified to shoot as automatic weapons, and 4 people who were killed, and we don't have anybody in custody. They're asking for the public's help. So it's the problem that does not seem to go away as much as we would ignore it. And so something to really be concerned about. Thank you for raising that issue in terms of the concern to families and students. Any other thoughts about that? Or any other? Go right here.
These are the ones, these are the ones that make the news, but I have several nephews and nieces that are in colleges around, and they have had shootings as well. One was just a fight, and then a gun fell out of a person's pocket and shot. So, it's like those things don't make the news. Those things may not even make the parents. And this is one issue too I have with colleges, is that why are they keeping a lot of stuff on the wraps when it comes to parents? I know the students have some, a lot of rights, but I think that when something like that go on, or if a student is shot, and it's not a mass shooting, it's just a shooting in the cafeteria or anything like that, you should let the parents know.
Yeah, agreed. Yes, agreed. And just to know that you have to worry about that. You mentioned the policy on clear backpacks. One of the hottest selling items are bulletproof backpacks. Yeah, that's kind of disturbing to hear that. And school shooter drills across the board for all students. I mean, it's become a part of our reality. Yeah.
A lot of the local entertainment spots now, or if you go to a concert or you go to, even last night, I went to the football game, and we had to, for the most part, they were telling people to have you had to have clear bags, or some type of clear purse or whatever.
And then given this happens, I'm quite happy that the children on Saturday, we had to go through, they had to do the wands and the metal detectors, and they had to search bags. And I'm okay with that, because when we went in there and saw the crowd that was in there, my first thought, not my first thought, but to think of it, if something happened in a place like that, it was an arena, like you're down on the, for instance, the basketball floor, and if you had to run, you're gonna have to run up steps. I mean, there was no quick way to exit that building if something were to break out. So I'm okay with the precautions, you know?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because
Yes.
unfortunately, people don't seem to care, and they do things. I don't know. I was watching the new after this last shooting here in Georgia. They were interviewing a lot of different people on both sides, and they were interviewing this guy, and he, of course, he was from the National Rifle Association. And even though this had just happened, they asked him, "Would you stand behind something that governed the laws?" And he's like, "No, it was not the guns. It was the people who." And I'm like, but I'm like, so was it the box cutter that made the plane go into the towers? But y'all regulated any kind of sharp items to go on planes, you know? Was it my
Yeah.
shoe? Was it my shoe? I gotta take my shoes off, you know?
Yeah.
That
Great
you're telling
point.
me it's not the gun that's killing these people over, and like you shouldn't have to worry about your child going to school. Like my kids don't go to school, but now I have to think they go to Boys and Girls Club, and somebody could call and say there was a shooting at Boys and Girls Club. I mean, geez, that's ridiculous.
Yeah. Yeah.
But the same people will argue that if the teachers were allowed to have guns in the schools, then maybe they can shoot back and kill the intruder. So that's what some people are arguing about, and it's people right now are arguing about having their guns at church. They they want their guns on them in case something do pop off. They want to be able to shoot back.
End up with the Wild Wild West.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
just means they rather sell more guns than to come up with a sensible plan. Their goal is to sell more guns. That's it.
I want to know, where is everybody's thoughts on the mental health reform, right? And Diddy was saying that the jail that he's in, his lawyer was saying that it's inhumane. Well, all those other people are in there in an inhumane environment. Is this the only time that the jail is actually going to make some changes to the jail because you have
Oh
a
my
celebrity in
Isn't
there?
he in federal prison?
Well, wherever he is, they say they're going to make some changes. The jail has come forward and say they're making some changes. And I was like, wow, it just took one really wealthy person to be in there, and then you're gonna make some changes. I haven't heard Kamala Harris speak on this, and I haven't heard Trump speak on this about mental health reform, because I think that if you start giving out mental health evaluations before you give these gun permits out, well, you don't even have to have one now, but before you even able to get a gun, I think you should have a mental health evaluation
But
and
I think some
training
states
attached
do
to
have
it.
that, don't they? I know Illinois has it. Now, how effective it is, I don't know. But Illinois has it. So,
Well, that
yeah.
guy was, I think, if I remember correctly, the guy was against that too, because his thing was, you are just going to assume, unless you're going to, it was something where he was like, you shouldn't be able to just assume that I can't handle my weapon based on something that could be in my mental past. Just because I have something mental does not mean that I'm going to shoot up someplace. And so you shouldn't be able to just judge, basically use that as a reason why I can't have my gun. And I was like, this man, wow.
We talking about your current mental status, because even police officers, if I'm not mistaken, they have to have a mental evaluation every 2 years. I don't know how true that is, but I thought it was every 2 years that they have to have an evaluation done to see how fit they are. But I don't know. I don't even think they do drug testing, because they should. It seemed like a lot of them out there are pretty hocked up. So I don't know. I think the justice system and the prison system needs a reform. And if we're not looking at the justice system, the mental health system, and the prison system, we're behind.
So you're raising some very
Politics.
pertinent questions and some big questions that certainly need to be addressed, but you would think that with the presidential election taking place in less than 2 months, that the candidates would be talking about the issues that are most important to American people. And so it seems that the economy and immigration kind of trump, sorry to use that word, every other issue. The prison industrial complex is an ongoing issue, but it does not seem to get the attention and the priority it needs to. Right here in Fulton County, part of the Atlanta Metroplex, prisoners are dying at an obscene rate in the county jail. It's been called a third world, worse conditions worse than a third world nation. And so whether you're talking local, state, or federal, you're talking private prisons, which creates a need to fill those private prisons, which creates and benefits the school to prison pipeline. These are complex issues I agree need to be addressed. Mental health reform needs to be addressed. But when you look at the preponderance of the focus right now on the attention on the presidential rates, it's two things that I hear over and over: the economy and immigration in various ways. And
that's because the immigrants are eating the cats and dogs, Pastor Monty. Come on.
oh, wow.
Dogs.
Right.
And even though that claim has been debunked, many of those who support the candidate who's pushing that conspiracy theory still believe it. So it's that in itself is a tragedy that it's being pushed and believed. So yeah. I've seen so many memes and jokes, and people have sent them to me, and I've seen them. Calvin, you want to give us a sense of who's giving us shout outs on social media?
Charles Vaughn, praise the Lord, everyone.
Hey, Deacon Charles.
Clementine Beasley, good evening. We have a storm headed this way. Be mindful.
Good reminder.
Cynthia
Good
Caldwell, praise the Lord.
Praise the Lord. Cynthia.
Valerie Ragland, good evening, Bible Way, First Lady and Bishop.
Good evening, Sister Valerie.
Laverne, hello, Laverne Bowden. Hello, everyone.
Love that you're on, Laverne. Hello, greetings, shout out.
All caught up.
Grateful for everybody who's streaming and giving us feedback, giving us shout outs, giving us love. Anybody else got a topic that's on your mind? Something we've talked about or something that we have not talked about?
Janet Jackson.
Please tell us about
happened?
Janet, Miss Jackson.
Well, well, I mean, I know I'm speaking to the wrong audience, but because I know people, I'm just so, the fact that D.L. Hughley, he retaliated and said some of the things that he said about her, I was just like, really? So I just feel like in this country that it's time that we evolve on how we view race. We're still looking at race from the 1960s standpoint, when it was mostly Black Americans and white Americans here. Now we got people from all over the world, a lot of people who are a product of interracial marriages, and we still try to force people into two categories. And when people try to raise those issues, we keep, I just think it's programming, because it's the way that we've always viewed race from the beginning. But a lot is changing in America, and I think that at some point we're going to have to change with it.
So if you don't mind giving us a brief sketch of what Miss Jackson said and what the response has been.
I'm sorry, say that one more time. I'm sitting here in the Office Depot.
Oh, no problem. If you don't
Sorry.
mind giving us a quick sketch of what Janet Jackson
So Janet
said.
Jackson said something like she had heard that Kamala's father was white, and Black Americans were ready to roast her. Or roasting her for saying that or whatever. And then her rep came back and tried to apologize. And then Janet people came back and say, no, she stands by what she said, that, the person who tried to speak on her behalf had no authority to speak on her behalf. So I just think that we really just, it's going to take a while, but I feel like at some point, the way that we view race in this country is going to evolve. It has to. We're not living in 1960s America anymore. So
Thank you
I
for
just
that.
think it's,
I don't think it will. As long
I
as we
think it
have,
will. It's gonna. It's
well,
too many people of mixed heritage. I mean,
well,
oh,
I get what you're saying, and you are accurate in the transitioning of races and the mixing and
so
everything else. But I
put
still
it back
believe
in.
in the
Oh,
the
okay.
one drop thing. Okay,
Well,
when you get pulled over, Kamala
yeah, but
Harris,
that's
they're
not the
not gonna
point.
say
That's not
what
the
I'm
point,
saying
though.
is
That's not the
Kamala.
point.
What I'm saying the point I'm pointing out is that Kamala Harris, if she got pulled over and she wasn't vice president or whatever, they would see a black woman. They wouldn't say, "Oh, she's mixed with such and such and such. She has a white dad." So it would
Pull it
be
out. Pull it out.
white and black. And unfortunately, when other cultures come over here, most of them pick up the habits of white people.
And that includes Black people from other countries. That's why I
Right.
keep
They
saying
pick
that
up the
race.
white
Yes,
until they get
and
their
that's
wake up call. Until they get their
no.
wake up
It's not.
call.
It's not just about wake up call. It's not about just that.
Okay.
I don't. Well, I'm sorry. I'm trying to multitask. I'm good. Let's go. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, exactly. 100%. Yeah. So my point though is that just talking to other people, I was talking to an Uber driver. He's from Uganda, and he was telling me, how even when they go to South Africa, South Africans don't treat East Africans, don't open their arms and welcome them. So what I'm saying basically is that just because we all share the same skin color, it doesn't mean we all share the same ethnic background, the same culture, the same language. Anywhere you go in this world, I mean, that was a story, I've referred to this before. A Black woman, black skin wise, skin color, she's from Kenya. She came to America. She said that Black was foreign to her because that's not how they identify themselves when they come from other countries. That's how we, as Black Americans, we identify as being Black. Kathy, if you can back me up on this, a lot of Black people who come from the Caribbean culture or from other like African culture, they don't identify as Black.
I agree with you 100% on that. I have no argument there.
And that's what, listen,
argument
that's
there.
all I'm saying. I'm not talking about if you get pulled over by the cop, because there have been studies and there have been too much proof to show that when people, open their mouth and speak, and people know that they're not Black Americans, that they are treated differently at times. It's not, we still think of race as only about skin color. And I'm saying that race also, we need to start like evolving as a nation to start looking at lineage. And that's all I'm saying. And so when you look at lineage, you can't make a Black American out of a Jamaican and an Indian. It just don't happen. She's Jamaican American, she's Indian American. But if you're looking at Black American from an ethnic standpoint strictly, and that's pretty much how we have identified Black Americans, that's our ethnic group. Now, and even so, I mean, we have evolved with language in this country a lot. We went from being colored to being Negro to being Black to being African American. So the language has evolved over time. So I'm saying that we're going to get to a point where it's going to be, I just feel like, we may come, kicking and screaming, but that the language is going to evolve at some point. It has to. We're not the same America that we were 50, 60 years ago. We're just not. I mean, you got too many people coming in from all over the world to just put everybody in one pot and say that you're from East Africa, you're from South Africa, you're from the West Indies, so you're Black American. They don't even identify that way.
I'm gonna jump in. I somewhat agree with Santero. You guys have probably heard me talk about when I was at the accounting firm that I worked at, which was majority white, right? And a really close girlfriend of mine, she's from Ivory Coast, but she's Black. Obviously, she's Black, and I'm from the Caribbean, and then there were other African Americans, and it felt to me like the person who was from Ivory Coast, who had the distinct accent of non-American, was they were still a little bit different than we weren't all just the Black group in this part of the audit field that we were in, financial services. It was really, really white. It was white and male because we were going into the banks and the insurance companies, and it was very white, whether white, male, or female. But to have these, three black girls, it was me and two other girls, and she's Ivory Coast, I'm from the Caribbean, and the other one was American. But you could see how people related to the person who had the accent that sounded distinctly not American, and it felt like I felt like she wasn't looked at the same as the other two, right? Because although I'm from the Caribbean, my Caribbean accent is not as strong. I mean, if you listen long enough, you hear it, but I can sound like anybody else. And it wasn't like it was a blatant, but you felt the difference a little bit. And I was just having this conversation earlier today because I was like, when I came from Antigua, when I was in Antigua, I didn't have to look at Black people and say, I'm Black, I'm just Antiguan. And that's what I am, right? When I saw the white people come off the cruise ships or come on vacation, they were tourists. They weren't necessarily white people and we're Black people. They were tourists coming to enjoy the island that I live on. And it wasn't really that big thing of Black people, white people. Now it probably has evolved to that, and Asia and India and the Chinese who come and take over everything. But back then it really wasn't. When I came here, I couldn't understand the plight of the African American who seemed to, from the stereotypes you hear, the man and I couldn't understand it. And I was like, well, if you just do X, Y, and Z, in my mind, if you just did X, Y, and Z, you should get the same result as the next person who did X, Y, and Z, because that's how it works at home, right? So I see what Santera is saying. There is a difference in mindset of people who do not have the generational trauma. Your grandmama that was like in slavery, 30 years ago or 40, 50 years ago, whatever it was, that where she was a first generation free person that had that same fear, that went through Jim Crow. The Black people coming in here don't have that trauma from Jim Crow. They don't have the water hose. They don't have the stories being passed on from that direct hit, right? In the Caribbean, we had slavery, but the white people left long before. We ran them off because after a while we overpowered them and they got scared and left, right? So yes, we had slavery. Yes, we had sharecropping. Yes, there was, the massa on the but it wasn't the same level of just hatred, just treatment that got passed down so close to now. Like I remember stories of my grandmother being, going to the field and doing things, but it was no real terrible thing that I heard that the white masters did, and that's my grandmother, right? So it's closer here. The terror is closer, and so it goes down, and so it's harder for them. Where I'm feeling.
Kathy, and thank you so much for your honesty. I 100% I can't thank you enough for trying to explain that, because that's all I'm saying. We try to group everybody together and we're not all the same. I don't care if we do have the same skin tone. I mean, we know, like, you can't force people who come from different cultures and different background to fit into even if they come here to America, they come here with much different experiences than we have. But we're going to force those people to identify as Black when many times they choose not to identify as being a Black American. I mean, it's just from interacting with other people, they identify as Nigerian American, Ghanaian American, whatever the case might be. So why should we force them into what we think they should be? And it's just such backwards thinking, and we need to evolve that thinking. That's all I'm saying. It's not about whether or not the cop is going to pull them over. It's not even about that. It's about how people choose to identify.
Check
We're
1 2.
talking about apples and oranges, though. We're talking about apples and oranges. What I'm saying is, if right now, if it was a civil war, which Trump would love to have a civil war, if it was a civil war right now, they would have to choose a side. What side do you think that they would fit on with their
We don't
cultures
know.
and everything
We don't
else?
know that. And
Know
we
what side
honestly
would
do
they
not
fit
know
on?
that. We don't
Okay.
know that. We
Okay,
don't.
you can live under a rock all you want to, but what I'm saying is the things that were happening back then is still happening now, and I stand by what I'm saying.
But the
So
thing about that too is that some of those people have countries to go back to. Black Americans, we don't, ma'am. We are here, baby. If you're from Ghana, you can go back home. If it got too crazy over here, you got a home to go back to. Those of us who are here, we ain't got nowhere else to go. America is home for us. We ain't got nowhere else to run to.
ladies and
So
gentlemen,
that's that.
I'm gonna jump in, ladies and gentlemen. We have 3 minutes left on this call on this Monday Night Live, and I want to say we need to do a part 2 to this conversation. There were so many feelings and stuff flowing around in me and in everyone. I think there's a lot of micro conversations. I think a lot of African Americans, especially older generations, feel like we're in a perpetual fight, and that fight is supposed to include all African Americans or anybody that looks like us. And so the mind state is you have to be part of our team. And so when internally we see other racial compositions group together or live together or do things together or spend their money together, those of us that have grown up in a generation where fighting was the way to be and fighting was what we were supposed, don't want to hear anyone say you're not Black if my eyes tell me you're Black. And so it's a generational thing. That's why I put in the chat, traveling is essential. When you start having conversations, seeing other cultures, you go, oh, everybody didn't experience the history of slavery, or they didn't weren't educated in it, or it was different in their country, or the colonization is a whole different. So that's kind of what this is. And what I'm hearing is just evolution, and some people are more evolved, or some people are like, no, this is what it is in our country. We're still in a perpetual fight, and you look Black, you're supposed to be Black, because they're going to still pull you over even if you have an accent. So, I mean, I hear the conversation. I think we should continue it. Can we, if you don't mind, let's just put a pin in that right now and take prayer requests. But it's a hardy topic. Really, it's so good, so good. I don't think there's a definitive answer. I think there's going to be a lot of opinions and thoughts of how it should be and how it is and those things, but it's powerful. It's a powerful conversation. Am I correct, Bishop, in saying some of these things?
Absolutely you are. And by the way, I had a totally different take on the Janet Jackson piece. How disconnected is she to think? I didn't think anything about race. You heard something and this becomes such a distraction. But I want to get one last topic we don't have time to address. My students, who are mostly international students that I teach, raised the issue of the detonation of the pagers and the walkie-talkies. They were very concerned about that, because if that technology exists, why couldn't they use that anywhere if that technology fell into the wrong hands? And so we didn't even get to talk about that, but that's
right.
A whole escalation.
That was mind-blowing.
Yeah, that was mind-blowing.
Because what I heard, and once again, I need to get some deeper understanding, is that the Israelis bought this and planted them in advance, knowing that Hamas was going to need them, and then sold it to Hamas for such a time. And boy, is that the long game, diabolical plan I've ever heard. And if they could do it, anyone can do it.
Wait. They say that again? They planted them, basically?
Yeah.
They purchased.
What happened?
Oh, there was a terroristic attack, or however you want to look at it, done by Israel, right?
Correct.
Against
Yes,
Hamas,
right.
Using pagers.
Hezbollah, against Hezbollah.
Hezbollah, using pagers. So the pagers were purchased unknowingly from Israel. Israel, purchased pagers and had bombs planted in them, basically, and set them off all at the same time, all around. And
So
how many people?
That's diabolical.
Thousands have been injured. Hundreds have died.
Yep.
They have automatically detonated these devices. One day it was pagers, the next day it was walkie-talkies, because this is the primary way that they communicate. And in targeting Hezbollah militants, they have killed many civilians, including a 9-year-old girl. They had blown off limbs. And so many of the students, when the topic came up in class, had not heard about it. But if you Google it, there's a lot out there. It was the lead on all of the national news.
It was.
Yeah, so it's a fresh story. This is not, it's happening now. It's live.
That's so sad. Keep your
Yeah.
cell phone. Don't change the real
Well, that
world.
was another
Right.
point, Minister Sharon.
That's
If
what
you
I
can do
thought.
it with
Don't
pagers
change the
and
cell phone.
walkie-talkies, you can do it with cell phones. And who's to say that you don't use that technology here? Because it came up in the
Yeah.
conversation tonight. One person puts a bum in their shoe. We all take off our
Yeah.
shoes. One person puts a bum in their underwear. We all go through all of these devices, but that this technology exists and was used by an American ally. And it's really a violation of international law.
Yeah.
It's a terroristic act. It's a lot of
Wow.
ripples, a lot of waves. And so maybe we'll get to
Evidently,
that
they
next
think they're
week.
untouchable.
Yeah. So maybe we'll get to that next week. But that was a big story for my international students. And I think it's a really interesting story because it has implications for us.
Well, that
Yeah.
that ended up making a good argument
Right.
for buying American only, then, right? Because I mean, if they infiltrate, you know, China or any of the Asian countries that are having these cell phones, like Minister Sharon said, send over here the chips that they put in them, everything that we use, and we can blindly, and millions of people, and we buy because we're consumers. And that's a scary thought.
All right. Well, let me take us out in prayer. Lord God, we thank you for tonight. Such a vigorous exchange of ideas and thoughts and conversations and opinions. We thank you for how iron sharpens iron. We're able to hear what others are thinking and feeling. We thank you for expanding us, stretching us. We pray for every concern that was raised, for those who were on live in the Zoom, for those who were streaming live on social media. We thank you for all of your blessings, your protections. We thank you that we serve a God who is still able to do exceeding and abundantly above all that we could ask or think, according to your power that works in us. We ask it all in Jesus' name we pray. Amen. And catch you all next week. Thank you for joining us from Monday Night Live.
Good night.
Good night.
Good
Good
night.
night. Buenos noches.
Good night.